Hey YouTube, this is Sabermetrics. So as I promised from the last video, I have a match, well not so much a match, but a single game recorded between myself and the Granblue player you saw from the past video. This is the finals of my local tournament this past Sunday, and I am on the left obviously with the Pokeball playmat, and then Wingle Brave playing Majesty Lord. So I'm not actually a big fan of Majesty Lord, to be honest. I've been playing it since set 5. And I'm probably going to be switching it when set 8 comes out to Aqua Force. That is a deck that I really enjoy playing, and I play tested with my friends already, and that's probably what I'm going to change to. I guess I'll go through some of sort of my thought process as to how I made some of these decisions, because obviously I was playing the deck. So normally with Majesty Lord, I do like to try and maximize drawing the Majesty Lord in my opening hand, because the deck is so heavily reliant on it. So in this case I put back 3 cards so that I could hopefully draw into it, but it doesn't look like I have. So in this case I am starting out with I believe I have the option between the Toy Pugil or the Leon, and I think I end up, yep, I choose the Leon. For the same reason as before, I want to try and thin my deck out as much as possible to draw into the Majesty Lord. I don't draw it there, but I am, I guess, one step closer. I'm thinning my deck. So the Granblue player here has ridden his grade 1 and uses a critical trigger to draw a card. And he attacks there, and I don't guard, and I take that damage. So moving on to my turn, I ride my grade 2 Blaster Blade. Seems like that's my only grade 2 anyways, but that's not a bad grade 2 to ride, considering it can trigger off Wingle Brave. Now, my opponent is a very smart player, and he realizes that I might not have a Majesty Lord. So he guards, and that is a smart play, but I very luckily hit a trigger to bypass that guard. So I am able to search that Majesty Lord. Now, it wasn't a bad play or a wrong play on the Granblue player's part, because even if I do have the Majesty Lord in hand, it does stop me from grabbing those combo pieces like the Blaster Dark or another Blaster Blade in case I do hit. So now the Granblue player here, he's ridden the Captain Night Mist as well as putting down a Rune Shade. Calls it to the rear guard. Looks like he is using he's using the starting Vanguard to look at the top 5. And it doesn't look like there's a grade 3, which once again, it is a hit or miss effect, and as you can tell, I'm fist pumping there. Small victory for me. But I think mainly the Granblue player is doing that just to really to get rid of it and to play another booster down, because he does want to replace it sooner or later. So he attacks with the Rune Shade there at the rear guard, not using its ability because it's already hitting 9,000 to 9,000. And the problem with Majesty Lord is early on in the game, there's not really much you want to guard with, because you want to keep a lot of the combo pieces or a lot of the field setup. So in this case I decided to take all the damage, and I am on 3 damage, which isn't too bad. I can deal with that. So I ride the Majesty Lord, and I do draw the Blaster Dark, which is alright. Unfortunately I had to ride the Blaster Blade, so I can't use Majesty Lord's ability this turn. So I set up 2 columns, one with the Palamedes and my Vanguard column, and the Granblue player decides to take the Majesty Lord and hits a critical on the damage, so he gives it to the Vanguard. Now, my style of play is I like to reduce my opponent's resources as much as possible, and I decide to attack the Rune Shade, which is one of the few cards which Granblue can't actually revive from the drop zone too efficiently. So, ooh, there's quite a bit of glare there, so I apologize for that. The cards I believe that the Granblue player put down on the rear guard circle was a Deadly Spirit and a Samurai Spirit. So, okay, so I take the damage from the Vanguard here, and he hits a heal trigger on his drive check. I hit a critical trigger, and I give it to my Vanguard. Now, his rear guard actually attacks the Palamedes, and I do really want to guard it. So I end up guarding for 15,000, which is a lot. But at the same time, I realize that I can probably deal more damage, considering I can now have 2 columns of Palamedes, and I can force more cards out compared to just that extra 5k that I had to discard. So here I'm attacking for very good numbers aside from the Vanguard. And I drive check a Blaster Dark and a Blaster Blade, so Not too bad considering I can use Majesty Lord's ability for the next turn. And as you can tell, the columns I've set up have forced my opponent to take the damage, but at the same time hasn't really used up too many resources yet. I think here's the big turning point of this game. As you can tell from my hand, I've got a pretty sizable hand. It's not too big, I've got 5 cards in hand, but I've also got a pretty big field compared to the Granblue player's field. So here he's actually, even though he's got a small hand and he doesn't have too much on his field, he's able to replenish his hand due to the Granblue's ability to replace cards from his drop zone to his field, which is one of the benefits of playing Granblue. It's quite consistent in that way. So he's replaced his field once again with several grade 2s and grade 1s. And he's attacking with his Vanguard. Now, the reason why I say this is a very crucial moment is because of my own hand. I'm not sure if you guys can tell here, but first I have to perfect guard this because I know my opponent runs 12 criticals as he hits one there. Because of perfect guard, he puts it to his rear guard. And here's my problem. The rest of my hand here has 3 Blaster Darks, which isn't exactly ideal. That's all the Blaster Darks I run, and unfortunately I didn't have another 10k or something, or like a trigger to guard that. And I had to guard it because I was already on 4 damage, and that rear guard had the critical. So opponent plays smart here, knowing that he can't finish me off this turn, and decides to finish, or to kill one of my Palamedes. So here I am pretty much down to a point where I have to go for it. I've got no cards in hand. I realize my opponent is also only has 3 cards, so now the Granblue player here plays it very smartly. He saves the perfect guard in case I do hit multiple critical triggers and I decide to give it to my Palamedes so that he can block that regardless. And he plays down a Chappie to guard for 10k and also discards a Skull Dragon from his deck to the drop zone. So I do hit a critical here and I apply the effects to Palamedes. I'm not risking that. And he decides to perfect guard that. And takes the last damage because he's only on 4 damage. So now here's where the Granblue shines. Even with a hand, or not much of a hand really, he's only got 1 card in hand, he's able to fill up most of his field again to a point where he's able to attack for pretty good numbers against my Vanguard, since I wasn't able to use his ability to push it up to 12k. So I think he's just deciding what he wants, and I believe he's probably gonna put out his Skull Dragon again. Yep. So he's using Skull Dragon's ability from the drop zone, retires his Commodore Blue Blood, and that's hitting 20,000, which forces a lot more for me to guard with. And considering I only have a trigger as well as a 5k in my hand, I can't guard for much. So. And replaces for another Deadly Spirit, I believe, on the rear guard. And what I realized from this point is I can't guard everything. So if I am to take damage, I might as well take the first damage, so that if I do hit a heal trigger, I can guard for less cards on the second and third attack. So I decided to take it, I let him go through with it. And unfortunately he does hit another heal trigger and gives the power to the rear guard, the grade 2 rear guard. And I do take the damage. Unfortunately there, I don't hit a trigger, which forces me to still not be able to guard, because that is a 20,000 as well as a 14,000 attacking me, and I only have enough to guard for one of them. So that is the game. I do take that 6 damage there, and I think that really just came down to a case of bad luck on my part, drawing sort of the not so great cards, or cards too late, like I didn't draw the Blaster Blade early enough, and also the fact that I think my opponent did hit those 2 heal triggers, which did help him quite a bit, considering I was only able to push with the Palamedes as much as I could, and the heal triggers allowed him to just take the damage, to soak up that damage. So that is it. That is pretty much the game. And now, if you guys do enjoy this, let me know. I will try and get more games of Vanguard at my next local tournament. Our locals don't actually run too often. I believe it's once a month. So I will try and get as many games as possible. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.